Okay, good afternoon and welcome to today's Charlie Mike noon session. We're going to be talking about Canvas today, and we do have an expert presenter who is going to be giving us valuable information on how to use Canvas in your classroom. So as a student, he is going to go through different features that will help you navigate through Canvas much easier. So whether this is your first time using Canvas or you've been using Canvas for, a couple semesters already, I think you'll still find this information very valuable. So thanks for joining us today. And without further ado, here is Reuben Roque.
Hi, thanks, Jess. Hi, everybody. My name is Reuben Roque. I am an alumni of ELAC. I'm an alumni of the Veterans Resource Program Services, and I'm also a veteran. Army vet, got out a long time ago and went to college, utilized my VA benefits and assistance from California State Department of Rehabilitation. So I am also a program coordinator at East for the SERVS program, just for student veterans that are STEM majors. So if you're a STEM major, find me. My program is awesome, believe me. Come and find me. And also, I teach in psychology. I'm an adjunct instructor here at East and along with another college. And today we are going to focus on Canvas. So one of the things that many students have encountered with the coronavirus is learning and working remotely through Canvas. And what Canvas is our platform, our teaching platform. That's one of the bigger ones, the more commonly used ones throughout the LACCD and throughout the UCs and Cal States. This. I can't share screen. One of the cool things that I love about Canvas, both as a student and as an instructor, is the fact that it really has simplified a lot of our challenges and like what we can do and what we can't do. Okay, can you see this? So, oops. So real quick, we'll just go over what, go ahead.
Reuben,
Yeah.
It is a little bit smaller, so I don't know if you want to be able to, if you can enlarge that at all.
Better?
Oh, perfect. Yes. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So, oh gosh. I had to switch over to you. All right. Can you still see it? All right. So Canvas, what is Canvas? We just go over real quick what it is, some of the different functions, how you can personalize it to your needs, the basic use, some questions, and at the end we'll close with just a recap. So basically, what is Canvas? So Canvas, web-based learning management platform. That is the main platform that we're using right now. So you should, at the beginning of the session, you should get like an invite through your LACCD email about invitation to a class. You need to accept that. If you don't accept the invitation, you're not going to be able to get onto the Canvas website and you're not going to be able to attend your class. Most of us, most students at this point are taking classes remotely. So this is going to be the only way that you're going to be able to receive the instructions from your professor. So with the Canvas, it allows you to use synchronous or asynchronous, and that's the big difference between having live lecture remote versus all the information just being there and you go at your pace while following the due dates and whatnot. So that's what Canvas is. So with some of the functions that you have, access to course materials, so you can get your PDFs, PowerPoints, any type of documentation, any type of worksheets that your professor, your instructors might have you work on could be accessed through Canvas. You also have the ability to submit all your papers. So it could be a research paper, it could be essays, any type of paperwork type projects and assignments could be submitted through Canvas. So the nice part about that is You don't have to really worry about, all right, did I email it to my professor? If you have multiple emails, you don't have to worry about wondering, oh God, which email address did I send it through? Everything could be done on Canvas. Canvas also allows you to take your quizzes and tests online. So you follow the same format in terms of how long it's a timed exam is going to be, what kind of questions are going to be on there. And that's going to be pretty much determined by your instructor. I know for the classes that I teach, most of my exams are multiple guess, and they range, depending on the type of text that we're going over and the type of material will really determine like how big your exam is going to be and how in depth it could be and how long it'll take. So if you are a student that has accommodations and you qualify for accommodations and you've reached out to the DSPS, it should reflect on your Canvas exam times, and the accommodations will be made and met as best possible given the confines of what Canvas allows us to do. I know for myself, when I've received accommodation requests, I base it off of the accommodation that's needed, and I adjust that time specifically for that student. Be it the quiz or be it an exam, it can be made and it can be done on Canvas. So that's a cool part. So when it comes to messaging, you can message your other classmates and your instructor all on Canvas. So Canvas really allows you to do all that stuff that you would normally do, texting, random emails, specific emails, letting your professor know like, hey, I got the coronavirus, or I got alerted and activated. I had to go to drill. You can do all of those on Canvas. You could also reach out to your classmates in terms of just general questions. Say, for example, you missed a presentation on neurosignals and neurotransmitters, and that was a pretty big one, and it's going to be focused on the exam. All right, you can reach out to your classmates that attended versus sending them an email. And the nice part about that is the function in Canvas allows you to actually select your classmates in that class. So you kind of don't have to guess, which is pretty cool. So Canvas is available on iOS and Android and throughout your phones, different types of phone servers and systems. This little guy, your phone, can be used. You can use Canvas on it. Do I recommend always doing all your work on your phone? No, I don't. As an instructor, it's very it's very obvious for us to see the different types of errors, different types of grammatical mistakes, and you become distracted. From what I can see from some of my students, they become more distracted trying to figure out like how to manipulate their phone for the whole project. All right, use your phone for your alerts. Use your phones for like an extra way to like keep yourself in check. Use the calendar thing on your phone will save you. So another cool part about Canvas is easy way to track your progress. Say, for example, you have a certain number of discussions you have to fulfill. You could see if you have submitted it on your grades, and you can see if you didn't. Canvas is not perfect. It does get glitchy. Your professors, we are not perfect. We do get glitchy, and sometimes we might miss an assignment. So it's a good way for you to track what you submit, and also a good way for your professor to be like, oh my gosh, my bad, Grisa, I totally did not see your assignment. I see that you turned it in on time before. I'm going to head and adjust your grades. So that's one of the best parts about Canvas. It's good. It's a good little protection for both you, the student, and for us instructors. And then also Canvas, you have the ability to access all sorts of information from the campus. So it could be campus news about the health center. It could be something from the VRC. It could be something from the ASU. You're going to get those alerts on Canvas. So what we'll do right now, I'll go ahead and open one of my Canvas shells that is live. I can remember how to do the stop this, the print screen, or stop this. Oh gosh. What am I doing?
Do you need some assistance?
Can't find my controls.
So are they in the bottom of your screen? They should
Here it
be.
is. Okay, stop share.
Okay, okay.
All right, cool.
Okay.
All right. All right, so this is what the shell will look like. This is one of my shells from a class that just ended. And this is going to be your view when you open up Canvas. Your shell is going to have, it should more than likely be broken down into modules. And your modules, more often than not, they'll consist of either a week time span or a chapter time span, or multiple chapters, depending on the class that you're in. So this was a 5-week asynchronous class that I taught, and that meant that I just put all the material on there. My students had their due dates, and my students also knew the class description, assignment description, everything was available on Canvas. And the only thing they didn't have was an actual lecture portion from me. So here, the way I have it set up for my students, you have some different resources within itself, within its own module. So this is a psychology class, and abnormal psychology. I made the DSM available to them. So they're able to go ahead and select that. And they have the option, they could do it on Canvas, or you could download it. So the cool part about a lot of the different files and a lot of different forms that instructors that we make available to our students, if you run your mouse over it, it's probably going to allow you to download it. So it's super accessible, which is nice. Most of the material that I have put on my classes, I put it in PDF form. That way it's able to be used on readers. You're able to download it from pretty much any type of device that you have. And it allows for that accessibility. So always remember that when you start going into your Canvas shells and you see assignments. If you run it over, you'll be able to download it. So again, my students have the option. They can either read it straight from here on the Canvas website, or they can download it on their own. I always tell them, download it for yourself. It's free. You save yourself like $200 or $300. Just don't tell anybody it's from your professor. So this is how some of your modules are broken down. So in week 1. Oh, my bad. Don't want to get ahead. Well, I had mentioned earlier that you get announcements from your schools. So we'll do this. This portion on the left is your dashboard. This is kind of like your control center on and how to navigate through Canvas. So your dashboard has all the announcements from the district and from your school. So here it tells us this is a message specifically for ELAC, faculty Canvas resources. Also this message, this is just for East. I think I have all my messages set up to just go for East. But if you're taking classes at, say, Pierce or Harbor, you can have all the announcements specific just to those campuses. That way you're not getting flooded by everything from the district. And that's as easy as going into the settings, which is over here. These 3 dots, wherever you go on Canvas, if you see them, they'll allow you to kind of change up your view. They'll allow you to edit your specific page for yourself. This gives you that personalization. Canvas also gives you a list of the different courses. As an instructor, I have these 4 courses that are published versus unpublished. And the cool thing about this is it kind of shows you, for you, the student, you'll have courses that you're enrolled in. So instead of published courses, it'll be published courses that you're enrolled in. So you might have a psychology class over here, and then over here it might be a math 125 class, and here it might be English 102, and over here it might be counseling 20. But it'll have a list of all the classes that are available to you. So this is just like the big broad view of your navigation. But here you can also go on the left side on the navigation plane, and you can select manually which courses you want to see on there and which courses are available to you that you're enrolled in. Here's your calendar. It's a beautiful thing. Students, use it. Use this calendar, sync it with your personal phone calendar. Why? Because if you master your time management now, believe me, you move on when you transfer, because y'all are going to transfer. When you transfer, to upper division, you'll have a huge notch and experience of time management done. And then when you transfer to grad school, your PhD programs, because you're going to go for those advanced degrees, yes, you are. Time management's a huge asset to have. It's a huge skill to have mastered, because literally you're going to really start counting minutes and hours that are available, because you're going to want to know, do I have time to eat? Do I have time to go to the library? Am I devoting too much time to my self-care? Or is this going over my allotted time for social media usage? Things like that. Utilize your calendar. So the cool thing about the calendar on Canvas, it gives you a heads up on what's due. So over here on the right side, it has just some of the grading things that I'm responsible for, or what was responsible for during that session, and some other workshops and other projects that are happening in the district that I might be interested in. So that's the calendar. Your inbox. It's just like your normal inbox. It gives you emails that your inbox goes into. So if you want to write an email to a professor, go find the little pencil, select that, boom. For me, it says select course. It should say the same thing for students. Identify which course that you want to go into. Here's the different ones I've been involved in. More specifically, what your favorite courses could be the ones that you're enrolled in. But once you select that, the names will pop up on who you want to email. So all in, and it'll, it could be sections. It could be all my students or specific instructors. And then you just generate it like a normal email. Now, if you're sending it to like a whole bunch of different people, you can send them as an individual message, or you could just go ahead and send one big mass message to them. It's entirely up to you. But this is where you find it over here. Now, here's an important function. When you do submit your work, the attachment logo, it's the same logo that you would find with your Hotmail, your Gmail. You find the paperclip, you're going to be able to attach things. So that helps you out. At a certain point, you might be able to drag and drop, but this is the easiest way, and it helps you out as a student to, get that information out to your professor. All right, so let's get back over here to this class. Any questions so far? Yes, the VRC has a Canvas shell. Canvas is great because it really gives you all the information right then and there for you to use. And the cool thing about that is, more often than not, you just kind of glance at it and you're good to go. It's very informative. All right, so that's the navigation pane on the left. So when you're into Canvas itself, your Canvas shell for you could look like this, where you have announcements. Announcements are generally what your assignment or what your instructor has for you. So it's basically, a big mass message system to everybody, like, hey, this happened. Or one thing I like to do at the beginning of all my semesters or all my classes is just kind of like give an announcement of like anything specific, like Zoom addresses, any adjustments that need to be made for assignments, any type of grade adjustments. Like this one was for one of my exams. Instead of one email per person, I just put a huge announcement on there. And this is a way for your professor to let you know what's going on with the class. Your syllabus. The syllabus should be available to you on your Canvas website. Now, again, like I stated earlier, some of your documents are going to be made available to be downloadable. All right, cool. Here on my with my classes, my students have the ability to visually, go through Canvas for their syllabus, just like here, or they can download it on their own. But no matter what, it's important for you to be able to find your syllabus and have access to it. That way you kind of know what's going on with your class, and it gives you the heads up of like what your expectations are of your professor, and more importantly, especially now, since a lot of our classes are remote, how to get a hold of your instructor. Some instructors are more particular about their communication than others. For me, if I want all my students to hit me up on Canvas, It's just easier that way, and it's easier for me to track in terms of like, all right, cool, here's my email, here's the message they have. I can go ahead and backtrack it and just make sure that if I'm able, it keeps me accountable for it, which is good. And the same thing for students, it's easier to manage that way. Some syllabi are going to be crazier than others, but in general, the very top of your syllabus should have the name of your course, the section number. Important things like when it starts and when it ends, and location. Right now, again, most of our classes, majority of classes are remote, but when we do get back in person, you want to make sure that you signed up for a class at the main campus and not Southgate, because you're not going to make it back and forth in a timely manner. It's just going to get ugly. But that's all stuff that's located in your syllabus. All right, so cool. That's the syllabus. So we'll go back over to modules. So each module, and this is just an example, I run my modules per week. And I have all the information available to them. So let's go into this text. You have the PowerPoint, or you have the chapter 1 PowerPoint and presentation of it. So again, my student, you can look at it directly on the Canvas website, or you can download it to, on your own device, entirely up to you, but you do have that available to you. Another version of the course PowerPoint material in PDF. And this is actually, some notes that are very specific to the class. It's making this available to my students actually helps them to, kind of figure out what is more, certain things that they should, pay attention to. Definitions, how to apply the definitions, making sure that they're able to realize the difference of the in-text, just having it in front of you information versus how to apply it in real world. And so keeping information like that on your Canvas and being able to access it's pretty important. So again, you have all this stuff that's available to you. And I really can't stress enough like how accessible all these forms and docs really are. So one thing that trips up a lot of students are the different types of in-Canvas assignments and discussion boards. So it's very common right now that your instructors are going to ask you to participate in a discussion. It's not because we want you to do extra work. This is probably one of the few ways that we can actually see your critical thinking, your ability to analyze problems and be able to converse with your peers at a collegiate level and answer text-related questions. And those discussions can range in points. I know with this class, they were very discussion heavy. So they had to successfully fulfill and complete 2 discussions per week. And with each discussion, it's very common that you have to post your own response before you're able to reply to classmates. And that would allow you to get to the complete points available. So at a minimum, more often than not, you have to post your own reply. And on average, what I've seen is, once you post your reply, you have at that point, you're able to reply to 2 classmates. And again, these are collegiate level answers and assignments. If you just say, I agree, you're probably not going to get the points. But if you say, I agree, and you actually list very specific points or very specific facts about that classmate's reply, you'll probably do well. But this is just something to expect. And once you posted it, it's going to come up like this. So this is Kelly's initial post. Once she posted up, cool, that was her end of the responsibility. Her classmates are able then to reply. And this is how your thread will look as well. On the bottom of many discussions and assignment posts, always look at the bottom because it'll have the specific directions. and the guidelines for you to follow. So your discussions will typically, include the main prompts and the main questions that you have to answer. And then below those, the guidelines of what your professor expects of you to be able to answer. And again, this allows you to see what's expected of you, and kind of like, if I answer the questions and keep these in mind, this will get me to that minimum point. Is that a guarantee that you're going to get complete points? No, it's not, but you at least have a better idea as to how to answer it to get to that point. If you ever take a class with me, this is huge. Your responses, they really have to be of substance. If you put, I agree, or I see your point, you're going to lose points. I want you to think critically. And this is what discussions allow us, your professors, to see that you're able to do that. And this also happens in both in-person and online learning. So these are discussions. Let's go into assignments. Those are always fun. Oops, my bad. Okay, so this class, I didn't give them any assignments, so they were all discussion heavy. So I will do this. Go to my other college. Do you have any questions so far? Can you all see this one? All right, cool. So this is one of the classes I teach at another college. Same format. Have the recent announcements. This is their landing page. This is the first page that they have, but it's still the same type of information that you're going to see. So go into modules. And this is what my students will see here. Welcome class, and it follows the same format. You have the due date, you have the week of your assignments, and then you have the types of information like the lessons, material, your discussions, your assignments. So now that we're talking about assignments, each class, that's the most awesome dog in the world right there. Who's asleep behind me? It's my teaching aide. That's my TA. With your assignments, you'll have your main context of it, your main material. And then you're going to get into, again, the types of questions that are going to be required for you to answer. The bottom of your assignments, more often than not, this is the most common thing, the guidelines, the minimum standard, the minimum guidelines of what to expect. This little blurb is pretty much the same thing I have with all my classes with their assignments. But no matter what, as a student, you're responsible for answering these questions. And again, it allows us to see your critical thinking. It allows us to see how you are receiving the information and how you're able to put your thought into text, how to communicate it that way. So these are your assignments. Assignments are more, those are the specific one-on-one. This is just for you to submit. This represents you. It does not mean that you're replying to anybody. These are the questions. Here's the format. Answer it. And then we'll see how many points you get based off of your answer and based off of how you answered the assignment. Did you follow the guidelines? In psychology, we write in APA format. We use a whole different format. And so one of the things I always look at with my students, how are they answering are they applying the standard format? If they're not, automatic point deduction. So it's one of those issues of you have to look clearly at all the directions of your assignments, and those are always going to be listed at the very bottom. Another important part about the assignment is where you list it here. It's the due date when it's open and when it closes, and who's going to be getting that assignment. So that's a view that you're going to have as a student, which will be pretty good. Over here. So this is the student view, and again, you have the context and content of the material that you're responsible for. and the main questions that you're responsible for. And then at the very bottom of the assignment, you have the material, like the more specific guidelines that you need to follow. So if you follow those guidelines, you should be okay. It gives you a better opportunity to really score, to max out your score per that assignment. And each assignment is going to be graded differently, and each assignment is going to be worth a different amount of points, and that's going to be, set by your professor. Go back over to East. Any questions so far? So the biggest thing with Canvas is really your availability and your ability to see the different types of materials that are accessible to you. The fact that you can access and do majority of your work on Canvas, and the fact that your Canvas allows you to really reference a lot of the material for that class and any other class records that you have. You may have taken classes a few semesters ago, and maybe there was something that you wanted to talk to your previous professor about. Well, it's going to be available on Canvas, and that's the nice part. It's digital. It's going to allow you to be able to reach that content and use it, even if it's past when you were taking that class. It could be down the road, and that could make a huge difference, especially when it comes time to transfer. Maybe you had one class where you were like right on that cusp of a B or a C, and it was a difference of an assignment. You submitted it, but maybe your professor missed it. So it's important, and Canvas does allow you to go back to some of those classes and give yourself that fighting chance to get to that material. Let's see here. So your exams are going to be, for the most part, on Canvas, and we'll look at this exam. Very general instruction box, like, hey, you have 120 minutes to complete the exam. Read the questions and answer carefully before choosing your answer. Good effort. And here it just breaks down what it is. Quiz type, 30 points. Don't have to worry about this. Gives you the guidelines and what, when it's due, when it's available, and when it closes. This is one of those things that's always going to be very important for you as a student to know, is when your exams are open and when they close. Your exams are going to be typically, you'll have on average at least an hour for many courses, and your professor will tell you how long you have. One of the biggest ways to set yourself up for failure is to take your exam an hour before it's due. You don't want to do that, because Canvas will automatically close your exam at the close time. So if you think that you have plenty of time and all of a sudden something happens and you still have 20 questions left out of a 50-question exam, Canvas will shut down at the exact due time and close time. So you want to make sure that you have as much time available. Start it early. That way, if something should happen, you can get most of your answers done, or successfully complete your exam. So this is just what the exam looks like. I mean, again, this is one of my exams where it's multiple guess. Anxiety symptoms turn into anxiety disorder when they choose an answer. That's pretty simple. This is what your exams could look like. Some exams could be fill in the guess, where you have the sentence in there or the question, then you have to fill in the answer. Then that's going to be something entirely up to your professor. What I suggest with that, if you do have exams that way, spell it out the best you can. Don't abbreviate it. More often than not, abbreviations could be misconstrued as an incorrect answer. But again, that's something specific to your instructor in that exam. But this is what these exams pretty much look like. You do have the ability to mark your exams like, oh God, question 13, I don't know that one, but I'm going to come back. And then you move forward. And as you move forward, when you submit quiz, you have 30 unanswered questions. See the right sidebar for details. Canvas tells you like, hey, you kind of missed a few. So always remember, you do have the ability to go back before you submit your exam and take care of those questions that you forgot about, or questions that you kind of put on the back burner, and to, to get to the questions that you did answer, that you did know. So those are questions and quizzes. So some of the other cool parts about Canvas, when we're talking about student services and references and resources that are available from the campus. Here in the Student Services tab, it directs you automatically. So you have the option of selecting that tab. As your instructors, sometimes we'll put in other resources in there that are more specific to the class, more specific to the material you might need. But this is the direct tab from the Student Services department for East that's available on your Canvas. Working remotely, all right, maybe you don't want to go to the library yet. Maybe you can't get to the library yet for time constraints. All right, cool. Hit the library tab, boom, kind of gets you there. Easy peasy. One of the things I always encourage all my students to do is play with Canvas. Play with Canvas. Get on there, crash it. If you crash it, Canvas is actually really good about, their Canvas support is really good about helping you out. I've crashed my site about a dozen times with both colleges, and the Canvas support was able to get it, help me recover within an hour. So it's doable, but it's also one of the faster ways for you to learn how to use the system. So there's also ELAC tutoring. Again, direct links to the website and services on how to schedule your own resources in your own services course. So earlier I had mentioned that you're able to see your classmates and contact them. Depending on your professor, you might have the ability to access who is on your class, like who your classmates are. Here I have it disabled because this one class in particular, there were 40 students, and that was just a lot. But depending on other classes, you might be able to access them and send messages to them as well. Another way you could easily message your classmate is when you're on the discussion forum, you'll see them. Let's go with this one. None of these students may have ever met each other, but they can message each other via the discussion forum. So you may not be able to see directly who they are or access them directly through the people navigation tool, but you can see them during a discussion. So that's just on a side note, something to remember if you needed to ask somebody like, hey, you have notes, or hey, can you send me the link that Professor Roque forgot to send me, whatever, because I do forget. Any questions so far? So if your class has them and it's available to you, there's this rubrics selection. So rubrics, that's going to be your guideline for any specific projects. I have a research paper that I have for a full 15-week class, and I have the rubric available to them on the website. That way they can access it at any time, answer their own questions. And if it's something specific, they can ask me offline, or they can just access it on their own. But that's always going to be here on the navigation planes of your Canvas page. Yeah, that's Canvas for you. Oops. And then here, again, you can personalize your Canvas. You can change your orders. You can put in your own picture. I know I've always required my students to actually put in a picture, because I don't like looking at like a little emoji of a flying potato or something. No, I want to see a normal person's picture. If it's your dog, I'm good with that too. But no like flying food or cartoon anime stuff. That's just me. Some of your professors might have more strict stipulations, but there is a way for you to do that. And that typically happens here under your account. So once you go into your account settings, you can do your notifications, your profile, different settings, different specific things that you want to see and adjust. But that happens all here under account. Can y'all still see this? No? Oh God. Okay, so my bad. Here's the account. Here's the account portion where if you wanted to change load up your picture, what kind of notifications you want. So here. Any types of different changes. So the due date changes, grading policies, if there are new announcements, I want to be able to know about them. You can control what kind of notifications you can as a student, what kind of notifications you get, and how you receive them. You want them specifically forwarded to your text, your phone. You want it just specifically through the Messenger app, or do you want it through your email? You can control that via Canvas, and that's all through the account portion. I really got to update some of this stuff. So here for your profile. All right, cool. Some of your professors might get really into it on how much information they have. Typically, if you select your professor's picture on the class, this will come up. So for me, contact, nope, you're not getting my phone number. You're not getting my personal email. Message me through Canvas. Real quick biography. This is me. This is how you pronounce my last name. This is what I teach for this class or the department that I'm in. Oh, more importantly, here's my email, my campus email, things like that. Your professor will put those things on there. And, if your professor wants you to see their LinkedIn, or if they're doing like a research project for NOAC or NASA or something, and they want you to see it and kind of brag about it, they might have their links here. Who knows? Or you could have a professor that has a whole bunch of different projects that they're working on with East, and maybe specific to things that were, for veterans, the VRC, maybe Jessica has something that's constantly running that, oh, they could put the link here. Or it could be a project from your math department. All right, could be another link here. So you can all see that under your professor's profile picture. Files, different types of files that are available. This is something that is on your instructor side that you don't have to worry about it, but for your students, you do have access to that stuff. And again, all of this happens from your account. So here. All right, so again, just a real quick recap. So you're going to get an invitation. Please accept that invitation. That way you get access to Canvas. This is how you're going to log in. You'll have your 9-digit student code or student ID number and your SIS passwords. And your students will be using the same password to access the new PeopleSoft SIS and Canvas. Cool. Your basic use, that was your dashboard. That you've been seeing us playing with that this whole period. And again, your dashboard is going to show which classes that you are currently enrolled in and also some previous courses. Whether or not you're able to access them, that's going to be based specifically on your professor, but you typically will be able to. If not, just get with your professor. Again, your navigation plane, play with this navigation. It's going to allow you to access everything on Canvas pretty easily. Your basic view, after logging in, this is what you're going to end up seeing. And then again, navigation is always going to be on the left side. Syllabus. We don't have it in person, but you do have it accessible digitally. Find it, be one with it. Because if you're a brand new college student, One of the biggest and most common things you're going to hear from your professor: look at the syllabus. Did you look on the syllabus? Check your syllabus. Believe me, we post as much information on there to make it as easy for you to navigate and successfully get through our class. So again, modules, how the modules are broken down, very common ways they're broken down. Again, most common way is going to be done weekly, but it's going to be different per professor and per class. All right, what are your discussions? What are some of the guidelines? What's the goal of the discussion? Announcements, you're going to get them from both specifically for your classroom instructor or from the college or colleges, excuse me, depending on how many you're involved in. Quizzes, remember, give yourself plenty of time. Don't take an exam or quiz within the last hour, because Canvas will automatically shut off at the close time. So you want to make sure you give yourself plenty of time. If you do have accommodations, let your professor know. Let them know ahead of the exam, not like a day before. Give them like a week. That way they can actually put in the appropriate accommodations for you. And it'll be more fair for you to be able to take the exam with those accommodations that you're entitled to. But we can't do that unless you tell us, preferably in advance. Basic use grades. Again, you'll be able to access your grades, and this is a nice way to really track your progress per assignment, per discussion, per exam. How to submit your assignments. Let's go over here real quick. I'll show you quickly. All right, so it's going to student. Wrong class. Are you able to see this screen? All right, cool. All right, so with your student view, you do have the ability to submit your assignment. So typically what ends up happening, you submit, you're going to have a box that you could either copy and paste your answer to, or oh, I lost my pane again. Or you could actually submit the assignment through a PDF or a Word doc. What I've told a lot of my students in terms of, say, for example, they submitted an assignment, they completed the assignment before the due date, but they found typos. All right, cool. Easiest thing to do, since you did submit and you still have time, email your professor, message your professor, and then submit through attaching a document down here. Find the paper clip. If you find that paper clip in your assignment submission, in your assignment, in that assignment within itself, you can attach that form, attach that document. There are some, I know I have had some students had some issues with their Chromebook when they submit, not so much with Mac, but sometimes with their Chromebook, the formats get weird, but you at least have the ability to, as a fallback, to submit the actual document versus just your assignment, copy and pasting assignment. So that's what you can do here. And your professor could leave comments, and then you can actually respond to those comments. That's for assignments. Again, we went over the calendar. Use your calendar, please. You're going to save yourself a lot of pain. Master your time management now. Sending a message, went through that one. And ultimately, what did we go over with Canvas? All right. So again, Canvas, that's going to be your main learning website, your main learning tool. That's the place. This is your digital classroom that your professor is going to provide you, that the school provides you. So at this point, every class is going to have one. We learned the basic navigation use of Canvas. Again, this was the perspective of both your professor, what I show my students, and also some of the viewpoints that you have as a student with your own Canvas shells. We went over the familiarization of the navigation bar. That navigation bar is key on what you have access to, and more specifically, how to get to things. And then also your basic concepts of commonly used features, calendar, your messaging portion, how to actually answer your discussions, where to post, accessibility for downloadable material. And if you have any references, if you have any questions regarding that, we got all of this stuff off of the Canvas help page and from ELAC. Do we have any questions so far before we close? All right, cool. That's how you use Canvas. So I hope this was helpful for you. If you have any questions or any more specific questions, the very first thing I would say is get with your professor. All of us, we tweak our Canvas shells very specifically to what our needs are and what's going to be most helpful for my students. I like to limit the ooh shiny stuff that my students don't need to see in terms of files, this weird Canvas posting, which students don't even use. So I take it away. I don't even let my students deal with it. I actually can order your Canvas in terms of like, all right, most important thing, your announcements for my classes, most important thing, announcements, the discussions, the announcements, syllabus, discussions, assignment, exams. That's literally the most important order that I have my Canvas pages set up on. And it just actually, it allows for a better flow and accessibility for my students as well. Any questions? All right, cool. Before we go, you want to just, you can stop recording, Jeff.
Well, there might be, actually, I wanted to say a couple things first. So, okay. Well, thanks, Reuben. Thank you for sharing all the wisdom that you have regarding Canvas. And, as a faculty member, and many of our faculty members, we had to learn it. And, it's something that not every instructor had to use, but with COVID, it's definitely a platform that if you were teaching, you were required to use it, which means that your students were required to use it. So we basically all had to just sort of like learn how to navigate through this Canvas shell. But it's definitely a resource that faculty will continue to use even if they are having in-person classes.
Yeah.
Just because everything about your class can be placed into one platform. And that's so convenient and so accessible to students. That way you can check, what's in your class, what's due, what's coming up anytime you need to. And instead of just referencing one syllabus, you have access to so many resources related to your course. So Canvas is going to be something that will stick around. So the more familiar you become with it, the easier it'll be to work it. And definitely, just like those tips that Reuben gave you, make sure that you're following all the instructions that your professors are requiring of you, like discussions, keep up with all of that. It's so easy to not keep up with it, but if you don't, you will lose your points. So this is definitely going to be like your platform to make sure that you're turning in assignments, that you're up to date, checking your scores, emailing, your professor. But the VRC, we have a Canvas site, and every term we do have to submit the new enrollment names. So if you've been connected to our Canvas, that's because you have been a student. But we're waiting for our list to be able to add anyone who's new to enrollment. So think Brisa, you probably don't have access to our Canvas just yet because you're coming back. And so, so you'll have access once we get those names submitted. So hopefully that's within the next week or two. But yeah, you'll be able to see everything the VRC is up to, connect with us, get resources. It's actually pretty cool.
I think I completely forgot to mention this, but one of the best things about Canvas, I found this out on the instructor side, it's a good safeguard for CYA. It really is, because everything is posted on there. Everything is posted on there. Not to get into too many details, I'm not going to name drop any. It's not one of our students here, but I was accused of something, and because everything was posted on Canvas, I was able to use that in my defense. And it's the same thing you as a student have the ability to do as well. If you feel that you are being singled out, or if you feel that my professor's changing everything all the same time, every day is something new, Canvas could act as your evidence. So that's like the great part. That's one of the best parts about Canvas is it could be used on both ends. So please remember that, especially when it comes into some of the classes get really crazy with their projects. I know, so I have some students in engineering, and yeah, woo, they get some pretty intense stuff in their Canvas shells. And so Canvas House, it allows that accessibility again, and you're able to go back and use it.
Well, thanks, Reuben. Are you going to do the survey?
Yeah, if possible, any veterans could take this survey. It literally takes about 4 minutes. You could either use the link, or if you've got a QR scanner, just go ahead and do that. It's just a very quick 4 or 5 minute survey. You complete it. It's for my SERVS program. As we're moving forward, we'd like to collect as much data as we can. That helps, validate and bring up some new points and concerns. That way we're able to really help other student veterans as a whole that are part of ELAC. And if you complete this and you're a vet, got to be a vet, and you complete this, you could be in the drawing for a $25 gift certificate.
Nice.
I can't do that anymore because I'm not a student. But again, we greatly appreciate it if our students could do this. You only have to do it once. I'll find out if you do it like 3 or 4 times. Just do it once. It'll put you in the drawing, and more importantly, it'll allow me to get some information from you that's going to help other student vets that are in this situation, and finding out as we move forward what's going to happen.
So Reuben, for our student veterans who are watching this afterwards through video, can they still participate taking your survey and then be entered into the raffle?
Yes.
Perfect.
So go ahead, and if you watch this like at a different time, later on during the week, that's fine. Just go ahead and take the survey. I'll be doing this survey for the rest of this month, and I have 2 gift cards that we're going to be raffling off. So this week and next week we'll raffle off 1 card, and then the last 2 weeks of the month we'll raffle off the last one. But again, you only get 1 entry. I'll find out.
Awesome. And it is only for ELAC student veterans.
Correct.
So
yes.
that narrows down your chances as well, or makes your chances greater rather. So you know what I mean. Okay. All right. So we're going to go ahead and stop recording now, but thanks everyone for joining us, and I will stop recording, but if you need to stick around for any questions aside from that, then our staff will be here. Thank you for joining us. Thanks so much, Reuben.
Anytime.